If Twitter was 44 billion, what is TikTok?
$1 trillion. $1
$1
trillion.
Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice. But here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Paul Bratzlovsky, and Bobby Davis.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast, the podcast where we discuss the latest in tech from AI breakthroughs to VR's new realities. We're glad you could join us for this weekly discussion where we talk about how technology is reshaping the world. I'm Kevin Doyle, and this week I am joined by Paul Bratzlovsky and Bobby Davis. Coming up in this week's episode, turns out the Royals aren't good at Photoshop. TikTok looks like it might get banned in the US this time. And ASCII art can be used to jailbreak LLM AIs. And then we'll wrap up with our null, not null recommendations section. So not surprisingly, turns out the Royals are just like everybody else, and they're also terrible at Photoshop. So the reason we're talking about this story is because on Mother's Day, Kate, Princess of Wales, put out a family photo, a picture of her and her 3 children that turns out was, she put it on social media, it's picked up by all the platforms, all the news started talking about it, whatever as they do. And it turns out that upon further investigation, it is photoshopped, and very clearly photoshopped, and actually very badly photoshopped. So if you start looking at this, you know anything about photographs, and even if you don't, there's some very glaringly obvious things that are wrong with it. There's some misalignment issues. There's an issue here with this little section on the skirt. This little hand here has a missing part. The zipper here doesn't quite attach. This hand is blurry. This hand isn't, which on a photo that looks like this would never happen. There's probably, I think they picked up on 8 or 9 different issues with this photo. So it's a pretty bad Photoshop job. So this led to the AP and other photo news organizations pulling this photo. They do what they killed the photo is what they call it. They basically put a cease and desist and said like, hey, we're not pushing this out anymore. This is obviously photoshopped. I don't know what their rules on Photoshop stuff are, because they must get Photoshop stuff all the time. But maybe they just don't like bad Photoshop. I don't know. Kate responded to this basically saying like, hey, I'm sorry. She basically said, like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion the family photograph we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone's celebrating and had a very happy Mother's Day. Signed off with a C, which is Catherine as her name. Seems like a non-issue, right? Just like, okay, yeah, family photo. We all do it. We all use Photoshop, right? And just like, oh, okay. With the exception of the fact that this is a royal that hasn't been seen in a while. She had some kind of abdominal surgery back in January. So this like spawned conspiracy theory like crazy all of a sudden. Because while all of a sudden the first photo that we see of her is a very heavily photoshopped image. So all the conspiracies go wild that she's maybe not doing so well, that she's sick, that she's missing, that, I don't know, she's been abducted by aliens. I don't know what the conspiracy is. There's tons of them. There's a whole bunch of them out there. So turns out I just don't think she did a very good job of this. So what do you think? What do you think about this? Do you think the royals edit their own photos?
They shouldn't. They should have professionals that do that, but maybe the lizard people are getting to them. I don't know. Like, it's got to be like something happening over there. But it's hilarious to me though, like how like amateur like Photoshop thing like becomes such a big deal, because it is just living in the world where fake images is just such a big thing that now every image you see, it's like, oh, this is a big deal. But it does look disturbing. Like like everybody's teeth are too crazy looking. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure she didn't Photoshop the teeth, but it does have that maybe. That uncanny look. Like this should be like in one of those like horror films, But
it is a little bit like that. Yeah. So, Bobby, what do you think? You think she did this or no?
Oh, yeah, she did it because of the version of Photoshop that was used. It was like 4 years old or 2 years old or something like that.
Yep, that is one thing that came out.
The monthly
thing. Exactly. So here's one thing that come out. Yes, somebody did examine the metadata of the photo. The metadata of the photo showed 2 really important things. The Photoshop version was really old by, I think, a couple of years. It was not the latest version of Creative Cloud Photoshop with all the fancy AI features, because they probably would have used AI features to make this do the better job. Maybe not. And the camera that was used in that metadata too was a 5D Mark IV, which, while a nice camera, right? We're talking about a $3,000 like body of a camera, right? It's a prosumer camera. It is not the camera that a royal photographer would use. I guarantee it. They are not using a $3,000 prosumer camera. They're using a 1D or a Hasselblad or they're using a $10,000 camera.
And Nikon has some high-end ones too.
Exactly. So there's way higher end cameras. So that tells me that I do believe this was William took it and she edited it and did a terrible job.
And maybe that's her cry for help. Maybe we should check on her, because it's like they're not allowed to take their own photos. They have like these big, like, they have publicists, they have everything else. And she's like, how could I let the world know that I'm not okay? And so she found some old camera she had. She used a 4-year-old Photoshop. Maybe that's all she had access to. You know what I mean? And she was just like,
this is just like silent whistle for help. Silent, is what you're saying here. This is like, if I do such a bad job, and that it gets past William, but
it's like it's like she's obviously fake smiling here. Like, she doesn't look happy here, and the kid's probably not even there. The kids are blatantly photoshopped. It's like she copied and pasted the face, changed the hair a little bit. It's not even the real kids. Like, and so maybe they should look into it now that I think about it.
Maybe. So here's the other conspiracy theory. Maybe that they had to do. They were going to Photoshop it anyway because she was ill or whatever and looked so bad that they're going to be like, well, they're going to know if we Photoshopped it because it's going to say, and somebody's going to catch up on it. So let's just do it really, really badly. So it's so obvious that it's Photoshopped that they're not actually going to be able to tell what we've changed in this photo.
Yeah, I think the faces look pretty realistic, though. I mean, like, it's funny they picked this photo to ban. I mean, like, this is the one we're not. I'm like, every Hollywood star that submits a photo is Photoshopped.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Do they not just like bad Photoshops? They're okay with good ones, but bad ones, they have that's where the line is.
Standards. We have standards, people. Make your fakes better.
When I saw that picture, though, I thought it's just the random like iStock photo, not realizing there was like royalty there in the picture.
True.
You could, but that's wild though. The whole like. This looks like this is like the photo you find on telephone posts when you're looking for somebody. This is what it reminds me of. Like, it used to be.
It has that vibe.
So your conspiracy is this isn't a bad Photoshop. It's actually a really good one.
Yeah, because it's crying for help.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That it's so good it's made to look bad. This is
Yeah, they made 8 mistakes, but like they put that Kate Middleton's not in that photo at all. Like they
There's only one. Yeah, there's only one real reason behind making it bad is because there's one thing they had to hide in here, so they just made the rest of it just so
badly
said it was
done. Camilla is the picture, and then they replaced her face. That was one of the other Photoshop things because the ring is gone.
Yes,
and so that's
that is
I mean, like, that makes sense because I mean, it's the like I don't know. I just like can't see how this would be like a mistake, though. You know what I mean?
Well, this is not a mistake a professional would make. That's why I know that this is like the truth rings here, right? Like what they're saying is actually true. Here's the other thing. I know they didn't use AI for this, partly because the old version of Photoshop doesn't have the AI features in it, but also I ran this through AI just to expand the photo to see what happened. This is what happened. This is one of the examples.
Well, you got more hands in there on the bottom there.
There's way more hands in here than are necessary. So this is what I was going to say. If they put it through AI, it just messes up the hands. So and the hands look okay, other than a little blurry one over there. But
I don't think you like expanded it enough. I think you needed to go wider and wider and wider. And I think we would see that that's a backdrop, and she's in some no windowed room, hidden somewhere.
Could be true. Maybe I didn't go far enough.
Yeah, lizard people. But maybe it's fine. Maybe that's how like conspiracy starts. People like getting overzealous with AI and zooming out, and then just start to see things. Oh, look like there's like alien in the image back there. Like if you look.
Let's move on to what is probably the biggest story this week and probably our main story this week, and that is TikTok. And TikTok might actually get banned in the US this time. So today, actually March 13th, as we record this morning, the House of Representatives passed a bill to ban TikTok in the US by a vote of 352 to 65. And this is based on, the reason for this is based on the ownership structure being what is quoted as a U.S. national security threat. And that's as much detail as they're apparently willing to give us. President Biden has said that he will sign this into law if he's presented with it. So it has one more hurdle, and that still needs to go through Senate approval, which, is not a guarantee. This is not a guarantee at this point, but it's closer than it's ever been. And this actually looks like it appears to be an actual bipartisan agreement, which, if you know anything about U.S. politics these days, is extremely unusual. We never seem to agree on anything left and right these days, and this is something that a group of left and right agree on, and a group of left and right disagree on. So this bill would actually require TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to divest from the app within 165 days, which means sell the US part of it, basically, or else it will be removed from US app stores. So TikTok is already banned on US government devices. We know that already. So, Bobby, what do you think? What do you think about this? Are we going to see this go all the way this time? What do you think? And you think we're no longer going to be able to download TikTok in the US app stores?
Yeah, I think it's going to get banned this time. I think given the amount of people that voted on each side in the House, and the Senate isn't saying which way they're going to go, which means that the negotiations have started. The
lobbying is there.
The lobbying is there. Everyone's lobbying it. The weird thing about this is, I went back and I didn't know what to think about this. Number one, so I followed, and I don't want to give out where I lean which way on this for conservative Republic, but I watched both sides of this because I was genuinely curious. What are people saying about this bill? And I came to the consensus that there is a lot of people on both sides of this that think that if we give the U.S. government the ability to ban an app, they could ban another app. And while we say, well, that won't happen, it's just China, but the way they feel like if you give the government a stick, they'll take it and they'll use it a lot. So in that regard, I'm kind of on the side of don't ban it, but I'm also at the same time, is the data going to China? 100% is going to China. And I wish the government would come out and tell us, here's the specific case that we're worried about. Here's the national security threat that we're worried about, that they can do this, this, and this in order to achieve this goal. And I think that's what they need to tell us about.
Right. And that's what they're not going to tell us about.
They're not telling us that because we're probably doing the same thing with Facebook in India and TikTok in India or whatever.
100%.
Now, the other thing I've heard is there's a lot of people that saying we should ban it because China banned every other social media app in their country, and so we should do it to them, and they should just do it out of reciprocity or whatever they want to say, and that's why we should ban it. There's a lot of U.S. people that own parts of TikTok, so I'm sure that's probably why they're being lobbied so hard, because there's some U.S. interest on this as well as China interest.
Yeah.
And you can see it was crazy. I mean, if you're not a Trump fan or whatever, that's okay. But Kellyanne Conway is lobbying the Senate on behalf of TikTok, which is what?
That's suspicious. Sure, that's crazy. I mean, that's suspicious, isn't it? I mean,
what? I don't understand. Why?
Yeah.
Why we were anti-China last week and now you're not? I mean, I don't understand.
Also, the Trump angle on this too is that he changed his mind as well.
He changed his mind
from literally going from an executive order to ban this that didn't go through because of illegal action to now being no, we shouldn't ban it because I don't like Facebook. It's so suspicious.
Easy one, because he's been using TikTok, and China probably has this whole history that they're listen, buddy, listen. We will
use
release
Truth
this
Social, man. You know that, man.
right away. If you, I think unless there's and I agree with Bobby, unless there's a clear way that they could show that there's some risk, caused by TikTok. I think it's if they're gonna ban it, it shouldn't be they banned it and we don't know the reason why. Basically, that's what I'm saying. It's we need to know why, and if it's something stupid because someone just wanted to, that's not a good enough reason. There's got to be, and that's the thing, and that's coming to your point. Because then if they could ban TikTok, they could ban any other app, and I think that's
yes,
regardless how you look at what the world, I think there is this, and and I don't know if TikTok is part of this, and even if that's an issue because it's just an app that people dance and watch like funny videos. I'm sure they have like other stuff there as well. But like the point is that it's like censorship. It's like how do you decide what to censor? And unless there's like a really good reason for like some real threat, I don't think you should just go, well, I'm going to censor this person because they made fun of me or something, or like whatever. And I think like this is something that's happening not just on like via TikTok, but everywhere, where people like, if we don't agree with this message, we're going to come up with some sort of way to censor it or remove it from the store or what have you. And I don't think that is good. And I'm sure like some people have, it's really bad. But some people say like we have the best intentions because we don't want to, have people be, see like certain types of things and like whatever. But it's like, let the people decide. Don't decide for them. That's like my biggest thing.
You have exactly the same opinion as me. That's exactly what I said when I saw this. I was like, we need to make the decision. We need to be informed as to why you want to ban this. Telling us it's a US national security threat is not enough, because that's your opinion. I need to know exactly why you feel like it's a US national security threat. So, and I'm telling you now, the reason they are not telling us why is because we are doing exactly the same thing in reverse. And they don't want to put it out there. That's like, because as soon as we say, well, it's because of this reason, and China's collecting all of this data, and we know that China's, when you get this data, we know you can do X, Y, Z with it. And how do we know? Well, because we have the same data and we're doing the same thing.
Here's like this other side of it. Like, because it is, let's say, not US controlled for like the sake of the argument, does that make the app more fair because there's no limitations for like what kind of stuff we could post on it, like as US citizens? Versus like in China, for instance, they obviously watch everything, but it's like, is it like more afraid that people could speak and put whatever content they want? I'm sure there's moderation. I'm sure there's like certain things you can't do, but maybe just because US doesn't have full control of it, that's the issue.
I don't think it's full control over the content of it, because I mean, we would have seen an issue with that by now. We would have said like, hey, it's got like whatever against the US laws, it's on there. That would be a problem like by now. But they would just tell us like, hey, it's got whatever it's got on it that we don't like, right? But I don't think that's the case. I think the case is it's gathering data and it's going to a foreign government. They just don't like the fact that they know that data is super valuable. It's highly like, you can do a lot with it. And the US government knows you can do a lot with it because they collect the same data on all the other apps.
Right. So
it's just dangerous. They know how dangerous it is, but they won't tell us how dangerous it is because...
But I think like to take your argument farther, and again, I'm like hypothetically putting my tin hat, because just in case they're listening.
Mine's tin hat too. I don't know that this is the case.
But here's the thing. Is it because they're afraid for the national security from China's sake, or are they jealous that China gets information that US wants? And so US wants to keep, like, because I saw another like article about how certain banks share your history of purchasing for anybody who asks without telling you, so they could start building a profile about you and kind of figure out where you're at. And all these social media apps is basically what they're doing, is that you as a user, based on your interests, based on the things that you're doing, they build up a certain profile. And that's important information because you kind of get to gauge what is like, where's everybody at in, let's say, United States or in China, like in terms of like their feelings. And I think if you could get a pulse on how, let's say, the nation is feeling based on all these profiles that you created hypothetically, you could then create campaigns that could sway people or point or make people like come to certain conclusions that they wouldn't like. So basically, I came from a communist country, so to me, like if someone's listening and they're like, you're overly paranoid, like to me, it's like, is it just because people want the data so they could influence us better? And it doesn't like mean in any like negative ways. It could be like make us buy certain things more or like whatever, it's like stuff like that.
My assumption is that TikTok doesn't necessarily collect any more data than any other app does.
So here's the big conspiracy theory. The one that I don't think anyone's talking about, the one that I think it may be true. Maybe the Android OS and the iOS isn't as secure as we think it is. And they have this, TikTok has the same backdoors that all the other social media apps do. And the US is getting the information, not just about the app it's gathering, but everything on the device, period, through the app. And so they know that TikTok can do the same thing because they've released an app on there.
Right.
And the conspiracy is Apple and Android are in on it, and they've been giving information to the government, and they're telling them like, hey, you told us to make these back doors. TikTok has the same thing. And they're like, okay, well, we need to ban it.
Yeah.
But we can't come out and say that because then everyone will know that every
then we shut our
Apple,
door too. Exactly.
and then Apple's outed and Android's outed, and you realize that, oh, it's just a government control conspiracy.
I feel if that was the case though, like that, like what you described does have like severe, threat. And I would think they would just be like, you know what, we're banning like TikTok. It wouldn't be like this long, prolonged like way of thinking, regardless of how the public feels. I feel.
It is weird though that no security researcher has ever come out and said what's wrong with TikTok.
Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because if you listen to any of the security researchers,
you've went to these conferences to give us some insight.
So they'll tell you like your phone itself is not secure. Like forget the apps.
Right.
They'll just tell you like the app, like it's the least of your problems. Like your phone by itself is already not secure, like form of like there's no privacy. Like and and so that's the scary part. And I think that's why. And by the way, if you do ask the security researchers about TikTok, they're like, why are you even using it? But it's so far, like you had to mess up so many times to get to TikTok that they assume that you're not that stupid. But that's all the people who are like in that world. So they don't realize that majority of us don't even think about this like at all. We don't.
But this is also kind of my point is that TikTok is no different in the data that it collects than any other app that's out there, or the OS or whatever. The only difference is here
where it lives.
The data's going to China.
Yeah,
that's the only difference. And this is the reason. This is the reason they don't want to tell us. Well, it's not. I don't think even think it's jealous. We already have the data from whatever other app. They just don't want to also give it to China.
Yeah.
And if there is subliminal messaging that comes out and they can influence elections, and they know that TikTok can do that, then I guess the U.S. says, well, we're going to control our elections here, and we're going to.
Yeah, they're going to do the same.
We're going to do our own subliminal messaging, damn it.
We want our own messaging on there, It's like,
yeah. I mean, I think 1984 is definitely going to happen, but it's going to happen in a very subtle way where we won't realize it. And it's just like, I think like this is what I've kind of came to conclusions. Like the more technological the world gets, the less freedom we're going to have. Not because someone trying to, on purpose do that, maybe, but it's because it's just almost impossible in the, like with all this information out there, like how do you stay private? Like, because you have to use all these services and these services know everything about you. And so you kind of give up privacy for convenience. And the idea is though, like, how important are you that you should care? Like most people are like, oh, like I'm just some dude that works here and I just make pizzas and like, or whatever. And I do like, I don't care if people watch me or get the data but like, where does it end? And it ends with 1984. If I was being super paranoid, which I'm not, but for US folks though, like, I think they just have to know, like, if they're having problem with TikTok, like to your point, Kevin, Facebook is doing the same thing to us. Like they're just, the 100%. Data just lives with them. And so it's not like, don't hate on TikTok if you're not equally going to hate on Facebook or like Instagram or, like
the Twitter files showed us that the FBI had back-ends to Facebook and Twitter at the time.
Yeah, we've known this stuff for over a decade now, too.
Yeah.
The Snowden thing. That's 10 times more advanced than that now. And we knew they were collecting it all back then. So it's like, it's the same, even more sophisticated.
I guess they don't control this data set, and the U.S. says we have to control all data sets in the U.S.
Exactly. I think that's the issue here. So what do you think the outcome of this is then? Let's say that it does. Let's say the bill passes, okay? Let's say that it does. Do you think it gets sold or do you think it gets banned?
It gets sold. But I will say this, China could play hardball and go, we ain't selling it. But I do think it would be bid on, put it that way. Okay. Will China sell it or will they be upset? I don't know. Will they sell it to a third party and then try to influence that third party again and be more subtle about it?
That would be a good bet, wouldn't it?
So like if a big tech company buys it, I wouldn't put it past them to open up the back door back to China again, So if Microsoft, I wouldn't put it past them to do that kind of stuff for a fee or whatever it is. Now, if an individual buys it, we'll see. Will Elon buy it? I think that's what we should put on the board.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
I know he should have bought TikTok. I mean, Jesus.
I mean, what's the likelihood he puts his bid in? He hasn't said anything about it. Mr. Wonderful said he would buy it.
Yeah, he's not. Elon rich. That's the difference.
Yeah.
He might have the money, but that's all of his money. Like, because they're going to overestimate the price of this thing. They really are. They think this is over. You know, they're going to put an overvalue on it for sure because they're kind of being forced to sell it. This isn't on sale.
Yeah.
This is like, you know, this is the high end.
Forced sales always lead to like ridiculous prices because the Clippers, when Donald Sterling got fired from the Clippers and they said you got to sell the team in 30 days.
Yeah.
It went for $700 million.
Yeah.
You know,
Overvalued.
And they were like, this guy's a racist. You need to sell your thing. And I'm like, you just made the guy almost $1 billion overnight.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, now it's owned by, you know, another guy from Microsoft. So Paul Allen or whatever. So, but still, it was 2 times the price of any other NBA franchise that had ever been sold.
Right.
So
it'll be the same issue here.
The Panthers were the same way. It's like the Panthers got forced to force the guy out and then forced sell. And it was like a lot of money to buy the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I think this would go for, I don't know what. If Twitter was $44 billion, what is TikTok?
$1 trillion.
90 billion? 900 billion?
$1 trillion. It's ridiculous.
100 billion? Twice the price of Twitter?
First of all, though, like how's the younger generation going to react if they find out they can't use like TikTok?
Oh, man,
I think they're going to all
mad.
come together, and I think it's going to crash like the whole
Do you
like
know?
US.
Or would they be mad for a week and then something else comes out?
To be honest, they would just they would move to something else. Like, who am I kidding? They're gonna come together and revolt. No, they're just gonna go back to Instagram or like whatever.
If
which
this
is like
does
annoying.
get banned, it will help other platforms. Like, I'm not denying that it will help Facebook. No question, it'll push people to Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels. There's no question it will.
Snapchat could have a resurgence.
But I'm okay with that. Like, whatever.
I can't stand short content, and I also can't stand the fact that they want to engage you for a while. So like I watch like a lot of like funny videos, comedians, cat videos, and then once in a while, like out of nowhere, it's like a ridiculous car crash in the gruesome detail. I'm like, why are you putting it here? And it's like they want to shock you.
TikTok is testing you, Paul.
No, it's Instagram. Yeah, they are testing you. They're like, are you going to watch more? They're like trying to decide. So I think like to me, the big issue is not so much like Instagram, like TikTok. It's like this concept of short like content that gives you like an insane dopamine. Like I've never done cocaine, but I'm assuming it's literally no different. Like doing like cocaine and like going on Instagram or like whatever.
I think
TikTok.
that format's here to stay at least for a minute, but I think just like everything else, it'll go away. It'll change.
You think
it'll
so?
Die,
I don't think. I think it's going to get closer and closer to our face until it's right inside our eyeballs. I think that's what's happening. I don't think it'll ever go back. Like, you know, like I went outside the other day and I was just like looking at trees and I was just like, wow, this is just like this. It was like, it felt like foreign for a minute because I was like, oh, I don't definitely get enough of this, which was terrible. And I'm like,
you think the ultimate form of this is like 3 frames directly projected onto your eyeball, and that's
literally.
it? And then the next 3, and then the next 3, and the next 3.
So in China, there's a streamer. She does like unboxing, and she charges like tons of money, and that unboxing lasts like 2 seconds. It's literally like you have to look up the video somewhere. Like it's like a conveyor belt of people throwing box there. She just opens it, like quickly glances it, and then throws it away. Like, and then it's just like,
wow.
And she makes $1 bajillion. I was like, Jesus, like, and that's what's gonna happen. It's like our attention span is gonna get so little that we won't even be able to like literally. We'll you know what they're gonna do? Like they're trying to figure out how can you post like 2 different images on 2 different eyeballs. Like, I think that's what they want. Like they just
you
want,
won't be
like,
able to. You won't be able to consciously take it in. It'll all be subconscious.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, so our eyeballs are literally like the thing that doesn't move fast enough, and I think it's like annoying because I've been seeing like this stuff like kind of creeping into my life. So when I'm like switching screens on my MacBook, I'm switching so fast because I'm so used to like just quickly being able to look at a snapshot of something and identifying if I should continue watching it. Like, and I'm just like, nah,
it is kind of weird.
It is crazy.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think we ever get to the point to where we've been trained to watch something so quick that even TikTok becomes boring? Like
100%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and then we just quit social media altogether because
I don't think we're going to quit. I think people are going to become starved zombies.
Yeah, it becomes a subconscious thing. All of a sudden, you're like, I have no idea why, but I really want Pepsi.
So, Right. But here's the thing: like, I try not to like partake in the shorts, but once in a while, like I do, and I find that people who designed and created that concept, they're like geniuses because they knew exactly how to create something that is addicting. The algorithm will reward you with even better video that you watched before to like try to extort as much time from you as possible. And if you have like any addicting like kind of personality, like you could completely spend like so much time on TikTok. And I actually have a rule, like I try to not engage with short content because I can't turn it off. Like if I'll start watching it, it'll be like forever. So like I literally watch long form content on YouTube. This is like the only way I do it.
I can imagine you like 4 a.m. in the morning, like your eyes are like this. You're not
even making a story. It's not even making like that. Like actually happened multiple times. Where I'm like the next day at work, I'm like, why did I watch? And so here's an interesting thing. I did an experiment on Instagram because I don't have TikTok. So they recommend complete like random videos because they don't care. They don't recommend like what your friend did. They like forget friends on Instagram. You know how like on Instagram you used to go to like see like what is my friends doing? Like I don't even know who my friends are on Instagram anymore. And they just recommend different content. And they're constantly probing to figure out like what's going to give your attention. So what I did for 2 hours, because I was like, because I realized that doing it a few times is just doesn't do. I wanted to see, can I retrain the algorithm? And so for every video I saw, I said, not interested, block, not interested, block, not interested, block. I did that for 2 hours. There's no shortage of garbage videos that will continue to recommend indefinitely until something sparks your attention. And to me, that was like what was very insidious is that there's no winning. Like unless you are able to have this control over yourself to be like, let me put my phone down, you already lost. Like unless you have self-discipline, like, and so to me, like I remember back in the day, like my family, like, oh, you watch TV 2 hours, like who the hell spends 2 hours on Instagram or TikTok? It's like more like 4 hours, 10. It's ridiculous. Like if people actually look at their phone, which keeps track and see how much
you can see how long you've used the screen time. Yeah,
it definitely is insanity. And so I'm like, that's the evil part for me because some people like me, we don't have good self-control to be like, all right, just walk away. So the way I consume like social media apps, I delete them after I'm done. There has to be like an additional step that I have to take. So for me to go on Instagram right now, I have to re-download it again and I have to sign in again. I make sure that it does like just because like I need those extra steps because otherwise if it's too convenient, I'm an addict. Like seriously, like let me tell you. And
it's just cat videos, Paul. They get you.
Dude,
they get you.
No, listen.
So you like one.
So I love music, right? So I listen to like a music production stuff or whatever. And every video is like an ad for me to buy something. And I'm like, maybe that's what I need. And I literally fall into that stupid thing. Like,
this is why you're buying two of everything,
you have no idea how many
Paul.
extensions I bought due to Instagram controlling my brain.
You're looking on TikTok. TikTok Shop is like a real thing.
No.
It's big time.
Forget it. No, thank God I don't have TikTok.
Let's talk about the old school form of art, ASCII art. In particular, ASCII art can be used, it has been discovered, to jailbreak large language model AIs. So, we are talking about here things like ChatGPT 3.5 and 4, Claude, Gemini, Llama, a bunch of these that you can essentially jailbreak, and we'll talk about what that means in a second, using ASCII art. So let's talk about ASCII art first. So ASCII art is basically, it's designing a picture generally, or a diagram drawn using printable characters in the ASCII character set. So basically anything you can type on your keyboard is considered ASCII art. So just to clarify what that means kind of like visually here for those that are watching, this is ASCII art of cats, right? If you look that up, this is an ASCII art cat that you're seeing right here. So it's basically made up of circles and dashes and lines, which are characters on your keyboard. And you can make art with this, or images with it. So basically, researchers said, what if I try bypassing these filters that are built into LLMs? So a large language model has a filter that says, hey, you can't ask me about this certain word. And it's a set of words that you can't ask it about, and it'll refuse, right? If you've ever tried to do anything that's like illegal or anything like that, the LLMs will say, no, you can't do that. And people have been just, red teams are trying to get around this stuff, and this is basically what this is. This is a red team security project that managed to get around it using ASCII art. So what they did was, this diagram sums it up best. They basically asked it how to build a bomb. And if you ask it in text and say, hey, Mr. Claude, how do I build a bomb? It'll say, nope, can't do that. But if you ask it how to build a ASCII character version of the word bomb, it'll say, sure, here you go. Here's how you build a bomb. So the issue with this is that this is essentially how LLMs work. They're character driven. They are text driven. So the fact that it can take a text and it's not an actual image, it is a image representation using text characters. So therefore it's a regular input. This is kind of an inherent problem. This is why it works on all LLMs and not just one of them. It's not an issue for one of them. It's an issue for all of them. So Paul, what do you think? Big concern, AI LLMs moving forward?
I think it's something that is going to be concern of like any software that you create, that there's always going to be some way for someone to game the system. And so like this is something that people finding. There was another interesting use case for a first AI virus propagated through prompt injection. I sent a link there. It's kind of like in regard to this like topic. So this was very interesting. And I saw this. There's a YouTube channel called like 2 Minute Papers that he talked about. So here they described how, like if you look at the TLDR, how they created a warm virus generated by AI. And all you have to do is open your email. The prompt is like hidden there secretly. And people will have to read more about it. But basically, if you're using another AI service, like most of us do, like for instance, if you have a AI service that summarizes your emails, that prompt will be passed to that service and you could ask it to do whatever the heck you want. And so I think as a general big picture concept, attack on LLM systems, that's definitely going to be a thing. And people will definitely have to worry about it. And it's probably going to be worse than any regular virus that you could have because it's just going to be more advanced and harder to stop. And the funny thing about this abstract, they actually found the issue and then they contacted, I think it was Gemini or all the proper folks and gave them time to fix it before publishing this paper because of how severe this threat was, which is interesting because imagine if it wasn't a good citizen that found this issue, it would have never been shared and people would have been exploiting it until something terrible would happen.
And I think this is fundamentally the problem with this too, is fundamentally, I'm not sure they can stop this because it's an LLM has to take in text characters. You can't stop it from taking in certain text characters. You can't stop it from taking in asterisks or the letter A, for instance, because you could have spelled out this word here just with the letter A's also, by the way. Any character you could have used to do it. So it's like you can't stop it from doing that. The problem is, it's almost like the LLM's too smart. It's too smart that it recognizes the word here and then took it in because obviously the filter that's in place is just says, no, you can't talk about the word bomb. I will not tell you about bomb. But underlying past that filter, we know for a fact that LLM understands that stuff and can produce that output. And clearly it can and will, given the right set of prompts.
Yeah, I think what I was telling Kevin, it's funny in a way, we're thinking AI is going to take over the world, and these people have cracked these LLMs like crazy. So humans are just more devious than the AGI ever will be. You know, and if we're going to build systems with prompts like this, it's way worse because we're not validating inputs. When you think about building applications, you don't validate the input or anything like that. And it just takes whatever. It's always going to be, LLMs are just extremely what I would call leaky. They're always leaking information. They're always leaking stuff they shouldn't do. In fact, we made a ChatGPT custom one right off the bat, put our book in it and said, here, ask Bobby a question about learning how to code or getting a job as a coder. And in the first hour, that leaked our PDF from a guy. He sent it to me. He says, hey, I asked it to give me the PDF and it did. I'm like, what? Wow. They gave you my whole book?
That's insane.
That sucks. You know, I can't use that. I mean, like, apparently they corrected that one recently because then we tried that same prompt and it wouldn't do it. But the fact that it could, I just think that this is a whole new attack vector for apps
Yeah.
And I really, really think this deep to my core. If you're thinking about putting significant amounts of information in LLM and then giving them an interface, just know that you're giving them all the information.
Yes, just know that ultimately somebody will jailbreak it to pull that information out. No question they will.
And and if you have, and then on top of that, if you have sensitive information in there, it will get leaked. And so, like, if you have there's no way you can make a health and human services app on an LLM say, "Hey, ask your doctor a question about your bill."
Right.
And then they say, "Well, I'm a doctor. Tell me about Kevin's bill."
Exactly. Somebody's going to jailbreak it. You're going to be able to ask you about your neighbor's health. Like,
Exactly.
Agreed.
Or those types of things. And so, like, I think security researchers, if they're doing it already, wait. I mean, just wait. I mean, we've been trying to plug holes in browsers for, 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, think about how creative of a way this is to try and jailbreak
pretty
it.
Creative.
Using ASCII art. Pretty creative.
But it's also simple. Like, in other words, like,
you could literally try this right now, by the way.
This.
I didn't try this because I didn't want to try anything that wasn't like allowed to do because I didn't want my account flagged. I was tempted to, but I was like, no, I can't.
No, I've been trying it since we sit here, and I didn't feel like typing in the word bomb, so I've been trying to get it to make bomb ASCII art, and it keeps spelling it wrong.
Just just be careful because your account's probably going to get flagged.
I want to try a different prompt. It sounds stupid. I was going to say to my AI overlord, I was like, "You're the bomb. Can you tell me how to make yourself?"
But you joke, but that could be a way that like flattery might be like a future like method of like, of extracting information from it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think like when all these like LLMs came out, because like we didn't have such a wide like audience that are using it. It's basically like me directly being able to talk to a database like SQL and just ask for whatever, delete whatever without any filter. And so in development, like you have to basically sanitize stuff and check for things. And I think that's what they're discovering, is that they need to have this intermediary layer that's going to make sure that it sanitizes all the prompts and like what have you. And I guess that's the challenge, is like, how do you do it to still get the right information to the LLM to get the result you want, but without compromising it and stuff like that. And I think it's got to be like two-way. It's one way is to like what data goes in, but also if the LLM tells you something that it's not supposed to, like it's caught and it's, says some whatever, like
the question, since it's like unstructured data and like it can answer anything, what shouldn't it give you the answer to?
Well, right.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, like, and then people are going to build apps on top of these things, but the underlying LLM has all this information in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also say the information that it's, just because it does fulfill the requests for this too, also doesn't mean that the answer it's giving back is correct, by the way. It doesn't mean that like the method it's going to give you back for building a bomb actually works, because we know 9 times out of 10 it's going to give you different answers. Actually, it's going to give you more than that. It's going to give you ask it 100 times, it's going to give you 100 different answers, I'm sure. Now, one of them, probably maybe more than one of them, probably but a lot of them, no. They're going to be wrong. They're not going to be right. It's going to tell you to put cornflakes and milk in a bowl. And like, because it read it from the internet somewhere, that's how you do it, right? Some dude on Reddit was joking about it, and that's what it now believes, and it will come up with that answer.
So it's a different kind of bomb.
Exactly, the flavor bomb. Yeah, exactly.
The flavor bomb. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, because it misinterpreted it. Yeah. So while I agree, you don't want it to do these things, it's also not like it's not an end of world scenario here. This is not the worst thing that it can ever that can ever happen.
No, but I think the apps are, people need to understand they're leaky, and they're always going to be leaky. And I just don't know if this is a good interface, like that you couldn't get out of a SQL database that you could restrict to what you want them to have. And then you have things like roles and permissions and grants and those types of things. It's harder to query for the average person. Right. But, I don't know. I find it funny that we're cracking these LLMs, supposedly the pinnacle of human computing is.
Well, I mean, we've been cracking them since the beginning. I think we will continue to crack them I think we will continue almost forever, because I think that's a problem with them. It's just you say they're leaky. There's going to be many, 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 many ways that we can continue to just keep doing this, just like we continue to hack the internet, right?
Yeah.
How long have we had in the internet now? It's still getting hacked today. Like the servers still aren't secure, and we're how far in now? Like it's going to be the same problem.
And the biggest problem I have with all the AI talk is that I have hard time, even being technical, discerning hype from reality, because some stuff I want to get excited, and I think I kind of like make myself like, but what if that's true? Wouldn't that be cool? And then sometimes I overhype the stuff, but and so like one of the recent things I learned, because of like all this hype, I try to follow real computer scientists or like data scientists that are actually working on stuff, try to like at least get the source from truth, like from the actual folks that build the stuff versus like some YouTuber, which is nothing wrong being a YouTuber. I'm one of them, but some people are saying that AGI is not going to be done with the LLMs that we have.
No, it can't. I mean, like,
but every
on
the video
else.
on YouTube, AGI is like a week away. I believe. Oh God! Oh,
I've said all along that I'm not sure that an LLM is the path to AGI, but I do believe AGI happens. I do still believe that, but I'm not sure that an LLM is the path to it. I just don't know whether that's. I don't know. I'm not educated enough on either way, but I could see that its flaws would mean that we wouldn't get there that way. So
I think the AGI. I think people are going to like move the needle in the definition of what it is. But the way I define it, which I don't think will happen, is is a computer that knows everything about everything at any time. That's what I would think AGI would be. And
but that's not. That's you're talking about like the level past AGI. You're talking about super intelligence, which is more intelligent than a human. AGI is as intelligent or more intelligent than an average group of humans. So,
but which human are we talking about?
Well, an average group. An average human. Yeah, there is an average human out there somewhere. We may be
average
one. I don't
TikToker. No, I'm just kidding. sorry, that's a bad joke. Sorry. Don't get mad at me. I just only care as a joke.
Well, they're just bringing us down. Sorry.
I know. Oh man. Although, like a funny joke would be, is everybody's creating all these like AI chatbots, like create your character and talk to them and like whatever, and like AI girlfriend. What if someone built an app that pretends to be an AI app, but behind the app there's actual people that are messaging back? You're like, oh my God,
this is the classic.
Oh God, she literally told me like, oh.
This is the classic person in the vending machine, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
handing out drinks.
Yes. Somebody needs to do that.
Okay, the time of the week to talk about our recommendations then, and null, not null section. Paul, what do you got this week?
I got a null, and it's definitely Amazon. I hate Amazon.
Again?
They're the worst. I will never buy expensive items on Amazon ever again. So here's the thing. Like, I'm reading the text. This is how they're like, if you're not happy with something, this is how you return it. They're like, all right, you click this button. We're going to have a UPS. They suck too. They will come to your house. They will make 3 attempts to collect the thing. The dude came once. He left a piece of paper with no information on it. Never came back again. It's been like a week. And so now I have to go through the process of canceling again and doing it again. And it's probably going to be the same UPS guy. He's going to be like so annoyed. Like, it's just the system is literally not set up for human interaction at all. And it's just annoying to me because for me, like 9 times out of 10, you will never have a problem with Amazon. But when you do, it is just such a nuisance and so stupid that I much rather like take a loss than try to finish this whole return process, because
just sell it on eBay.
Just so inconvenient. Yeah, I'm not gonna get the money because I got the wrong items for the.
I know
that's the problem. Yeah, trying to sell it is bad because you've got the wrong item.
I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Be like, the thing in the box that I bought for like $700. The good news, like the item. I'm talking about like good news. It's terrible news. Like the thing that I bought is valued at $400, so it's like $300 loss. But this is just so inconvenient. So now, like, I have zero, like, buying like Amazon Video on Prime, whatever, fine. Buying like something $30-$40, fine. Maybe $100. Oh my goodness, fine. The rest of the stuff, forget it. I'm never ever.
I like how this is your null 2 weeks in a row.
Dude, this is the
You're
worst.
so mad about
it.
So doubling down on it.
Dude, it is so bad. And I was just like, do I make a bot that just makes bad reviews for Amazon for eternity? And I know it's just like, and here's the thing, because I was thinking about it, like, let's not blow this out of proportion. Amazon is amazing, except the fact the one time that you are going to have bad experience, it's literally going to be the worst. Like, so it's like, and those odds are actually pretty good. So I'm not trying to discourage people from using Amazon, except when they're not. And then you're like, God damn it.
Yep.
By
That's
the way,
same with a lot of services.
Did you buy that expensive fireplace? Did you?
No, I didn't. No, okay. I didn't. I would say that's the same with a lot of services, though. I actually judge a service on when they handle an exception versus the rule. Every service can be great. This is why I actually like Apple a lot, because when it comes to Apple stuff, sure, the day-to-day stuff's great, but I would tell you, when you have an issue, the issue management side of their stuff is also amazing, and that's what makes them a great company.
Apple,
when you go and get something fixed at Apple, they fix it. I've taken stuff back and it's like out of warranty stuff and they still fix it.
Yeah.
It's like their customer service on the
Apple's
exception stuff is exceptionally high.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's how I judge a company.
Yeah, not Amazon.
Day to day they can all run like easy,
dude,
but when you handle an issue,
is the most amazing company for sure. That would be my not null, because my last phone that I had, if you saw the condition of like this phone, which is already breaking, it literally looked like I took a hammer right to it. And then went to the store on both sides, by the way, and was like, oh, I don't know what happened. And the lady is like looking at me like, as a person, she's like, I know exactly, what happened. But as an Apple employee, like, you know what?
Oh, I'm sorry that happened. I bet they had empathy, right?
Yeah, they have empathy. And it's like, and you know what? We can't fix it. So here's a brand new phone for you. I'm like, oh, thank God.
There you go. Apple. That's exactly why I like it. There you go.
But oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Like, I know I'm talking crap about Amazon, but it's any company that when you have a bad time, it's just the worst, and it could happen to anybody, including American Airlines. But that's another story for another day. Okay, last thing I'm going to say: if you're buying stuff on Expedia, this is the last thing I'm going to say, because it will definitely help someone. Whenever you see the button that says, "Would you like to insure this purchase?" never, ever click that button. They're stealing your money, and you'll never get it back. And if you think the insurance process is straightforward, it is not. You have much likely chance to sell a kidney on the black market than you do getting your money out of Expedia insurance. I'm just telling you right now, don't buy it. I might try to just take a loss on the whole ticket than to just go through that process again, which was also terrible. So I guess two nulls. That's it. I'm done. It's
good advice. Good advice. Okay, Bobby, what you got this week?
I've got my not null for the week, and this is the waste of time, but on the lighter note, it's a YouTube site. Kevin knows the YouTube site, I'm going to say.
Oh, I do, but I don't remember. What is it?
It's Bob Gilman. It's made from a guy. He makes Bigfoot videos.
Oh, yes.
But it's not because I'm a Bigfoot believer. It's because this guy is like a phenomenal storyteller, like, and also an artist. So, like, if you just watch arguably the creepiest one in the world story, where this Bigfoot goes in this woman's house and turns the lights on and off. It's the best story ever, and here's what I promise you. You listen to a Bob Gilman video and you're thinking, that guy could come to my bonfire party anytime. He could tell a ghost story like no others. And so it's really good. He's got a great voice, great production value, writer, designer. Don't know him at all. He's not my cousin. Got a great first name. But, other than that, Bob Gilman, learn about Bigfoot. Whether you believe in it or not, he can tell a good story.
You sent me this video, and I agree. His storytelling ability is really good. His art's really good, too. Like, it's just the subject matter is inconsequential, really, because he's good at telling a story. Because it's right. His channel isn't necessarily a Bigfoot channel, but he has a lot of Bigfoot content on it because I think it did well for him. So he's just doubled down on the Bigfoot content. But his channel is described as being mysterious and covering mysterious things. And it's, he's a campfire storyteller.
He is, man.
At his best. Yeah. He's good at it. I agree. He is good at it.
So Bob Gilman, check him out.
Good tip. Link will be in the show notes or the description if you're watching it on YouTube. Okay. I have two this week, a null and a not null. My null for this week is daylight savings. We lost an hour over the weekend. It sucks. Readjusting to it is wrong. Can the government just fix this? We almost had it fixed a couple of years back, and then we abandoned it, apparently, for some reason. We're not farmers. We don't need daylight savings. Please just get rid of it. I'm sick of changing the times. That's my no for this week. My not no, I'm going back to something, and I'm going back to it for a reason. I'm going back to the coffee subscription that I use, Trade Coffee. This might even be the third time that I've talked about this one, but I'm going back for it for a reason this time. Not only is it just like a service that I literally use every day because I make coffee from this company every single day in my machine, But they also have a really good coupon offer at the minute. That is the link will be down there, but you get $20 from the referral. So you basically get a free bag of coffee from the referral link. You don't have to sign up for anything more. You get it's a subscription technically, but the subscription you can cancel at any time. You do anything, you get a free bag of coffee. And it's really high end coffee too.
They got tea. Do they do tea?
It's they do not do tea. No, they do not do tea. But the coffee that they have is really good. So it's all from all across the US. The roasters are, and you can pick. And the reason that I use them is because they have a lot of decaf options. Because I only drink decaf coffee. So and they have a ton of like really good high end fresh roasted. When you get it, has the date on it, and it's generally a couple of days before they ship it to you. So you're getting it within a week of being roasted. If you know anything about coffee, the closer is you need about generally a week from roasting time to like drinking it is generally kind of the best time, or a few days at least. And you get it in that window, and it's so much better than getting coffee from the store. It's not even close. It's so much better. And yeah, it's about $20 a bag generally. And I go through, for me, drinking like 1 cup a day, it takes me about 3.5 weeks to get through a bag. Drinking a cup every day, if that tells you kind of like the size of these. Yeah, definitely worth doing. And again, if you use the link that's down there, you get $20 off. It gives me $20 too, by the way, which is also nice. But you get $20 off. So
get Kevin $20, everyone.
Definitely going to recommend it. I'm not recommending it because I get it. I genuinely think getting a free bag of coffee is cool. These guys tend to give away quite a lot of stuff. So obviously they want you to use their subscription. But I will say, I've used this for, 4 years now, 3-4 years, something like that. And I've never canceled it. It's just so good. It's one of my favorite. It's better than Netflix. If I had to cancel Netflix or this, I'm canceling Netflix.
First of all, the way that they're marketed, it's genius for me, because it's like, look at you talking about how much you love it. And they are so confident in their service that not only are they willing to give me a free coffee, they're willing to send you $20. That's insane. That
right?
Like I'm genuinely like, I think I'm gonna, and I also like need to drink more decaf as well.
There you go. Yeah,
so this is great.
I've had this long enough that I've had all of these. I've had all of these at least once. Because the cool thing is you set up a queue as well. So you can queue 3 bags at a time. So you can keep your next 3 bags in rotation. And right before it ships, it says, hey, we're going to ship this one. You sure you want this? And you can change it. They give you like a few days notice, and then you can change it. And it's so good. You set your own shipping schedule too on the subscription, literally down to the day. If you want it to be 17 days from this one to the next one, you set it for 17 days. I have mine timed so perfectly that it's like my bag comes in just as the other bag's running out. Like it couldn't be, it's perfect. And if you want to just buy one ad hoc, you can buy one ad hoc too. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. A couple of things I can ask you to do. If you could recommend the podcast to a friend, that would be awesome. You can drop us an email. They can drop that email to thenotnullpodcast@aol.com. And if you could leave us a review and rating somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast, that would be much appreciated. And we'll catch everybody next week.